If you lose weight, but also lose muscle with it, you don't just get smaller, you're going to get weaker. And weaker is not the goal. Hello. Welcome to Healthy Systems Podcast. My name is Coach Mo. And today we're going to talk about how protein powder is getting more expensive. And weirdly enough, GLP-1s might be a part of the reason, right? So stick with me on that. I'll explain exactly how these two things are connected, why it matters for your health, and most importantly, why buying more protein powder is probably not the answer to your problems. So obviously, this is Healthy Systems. I'm Coach Mo. Let's get into it, right? Because at Healthy Systems, this is the show where we talk about building systems that actually work across the 5 Fs, right? I've always said this, where the 5 Fs of life that determine the quality of your life are faith, family, fitness, finances, and fun. Today, we're in the fitness lane. But honestly, this one bleeds into finances too, because we're talking about a market shift happening right now that most people are completely unaware of. And this shift is quietly going to affect how you shop, how you eat, how you think about your health in 2026 and beyond. So here's the one sentence version, right? So the year everyone discovered protein is also the year a lot of people started losing muscle without realizing it. That's the episode. So let's break it down, right? So first segment of this is protein is having a moment, right? So let's start with what's actually happening in the market. You walk into any grocery store right now and tell me what you see. There's protein cereal, protein chips, protein coffee, protein ice cream, protein pasta, protein pancakes, protein everything, right? You walk into a gas station and you see protein donuts, right? A protein donut, how does that even make sense, right? But here's what's real. Demand for protein, specifically whey isolate or whey protein, is rising fast. So then suppliers are reportedly strained. Prices are going up. Some forecasts are pointing to continued pressure throughout 2026. And this is not just a story that I'm telling you. This is a market signal, meaning, and the thing is, market signals in investing, these are worth paying attention to. So when you invest in stocks, that's what you research in. But here in the fitness world, we're seeing that a lot, because if you pay attention to the market signals, they tell you what people actually value, not what they say they value, right? So right now the market is saying people are finally taking protein seriously, which is interesting because coaches, nutritionists, sports scientists have been saying protein matters for decades, and the mainstream media ignored it. Now suddenly everyone is paying attention, but why now? What changed? Two words, in my opinion, two things that changed, which is weight loss drugs. GLP-1s came into the market, right? So now we have this protein moment that's happening right now. Everything is turning into a high protein stack. Now let's go into why that demand came up to be, and that was weight loss drugs. So then let's talk about that, right? The GLP-1 problem that nobody is talking about. So if you've been paying attention to health news over the last few years, you've heard of GLP medications. I'm not going to name them, but you already know so many. They're like common household names now. And these are drugs originally developed for type 2 diabetes. And they've turned out to be extremely effective at suppressing appetite and causing significant weight loss, right? And I'm not here today to argue whether these drugs are good or bad. That's a more nuanced conversation for another episode. And then obviously you can talk to your doctor about it. But what I want to talk about today is the specific problem that these drugs create when people use them without the right foundation, without the right system in place. So here's what the GLP medications do. They help you eat less. You feel full faster. You don't have as many cravings. You consume fewer calories overall. And yes, eating fewer calories lead to weight loss. That part is real, and I support it. But here's where people get into trouble. Eating less is not the same as eating right. So when you dramatically cut calories without being intentional about what you're eating, your body does lose weight. But it does not just lose fat, it also loses muscle too. And that matters more than most people realize, because muscle is not just about how you look, right? Muscle is your metabolic engine, meaning it helps regulate your blood sugar. The insulin resistance problem that we talked about in the past, muscle helps you regulate your blood insulin. It keeps you functional as you age. It lets you carry groceries. It lets you play with your kids. It helps you climb stairs without getting winded. It helps you train hard, recover better, live with strength, right? Muscle is your long-term health insurance. So when people go on GLP-1 medications and start eating 800 to 1,000 calories a day without being deliberate about protein intake and strength training, they lose weight most of the time, but they also lose meaningful amount of muscle. And that trade-off cost them later. Meaning some people call this skinny fat, in the fitness world for the last many decades, we've been calling it the skinny fat phenomena. But essentially you can lose 30, 40, 50 pounds and end up weaker, more metabolically fragile, and less healthy than when you started, right? Even though the scale went down, which has benefits for sure. But here's the line I want you to remember. If you lose weight, but also lose muscle with it, you don't just get smaller, you're going to get weaker. And weaker is not the goal, right? And that's why protein demand has exploded, because somewhere in the back of people's minds, there's a growing awareness that you need protein to protect muscle when you're in a deficit, right? So some doctors are finally recommending it because some of the GLP-1 conversations are finally starting to talk about this, where the market figured it out. People are buying protein powder like crazy. Where here's also the problem, which is buying protein powder is not the same as building a protein system. It's not the same as retaining muscle. We need to have I'm a big fan of GLP-1s if they're used in a proper system. Just popping a GLP-1 without strength training, without proper protein protocols, is going to lead you weaker and skinny fat, which is not what you want, right? So let's talk about protein powder being a tool, not a foundation, right? And I don't know if I did a podcast on it, but if you go to my Instagram, I've done hundreds of videos about this topic, right? Your body needs protein to repair muscle tissues, to build and maintain muscle, to produce enzymes and hormones, to support immune function, to keep you full. And when you're in a fat loss phase, whether you're on a GLP-1 medication or just cutting calories the good old-fashioned way, your protein needs become even more important, right? So every time I was competing and I was in a deficit and I was getting lean and mean, those days, majority of my calories would come from protein, because protein helps you retain muscle mass, right? And obviously you're training because that also helps you retain muscle mass. After the age of 30, muscle retention is your biggest goal. Remember that, right? So here's what happens when you're in a, caloric deficit. Your body's under more pressure to break down tissue for energy because you're providing it less energy than it needs to live off of. And what happens is you need to give it enough raw material, meaning you need to eat enough protein to protect your muscle tissue. Otherwise, your body just burns it, right? So now general guidance, and this varies by person, is somewhere around how much protein should you be eating? The general guidance is to eat around 0.7 gram to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. So if you're 150 pounds, you should be eating, anywhere from 130 grams a day to 150 grams of protein a day. Some people may need more, some people may need less, but that range is a solid starting point for many of our fat loss clients. Now, can a protein shake help you hit that number? Can a protein shake help you get to that 150 grams of protein a day? The answer is absolutely. And I'm not anti-protein powder, right? I use protein powder. I am slightly lactose intolerant, so I don't use it as often as, some of my clients would, but we don't talk bad about it. Protein powder can be good, but you got to use it when it makes sense, because protein powder is a supplement. And the word supplement, you all know this, the word supplement means it fills the gaps. It's not supposed to be the entire thing, right? You can't just do 4 scoops of protein and be like, Mo, I hit my protein intake for the day at 120 grams. That's not what you want, right? It's not supposed to be the foundation. The foundation is always the food. It's the eggs, the chicken breast, the Greek yogurt, the lean beef, the fish, the salmon, tilapia, cod, cottage cheese, turkey, tofu, tempeh, lentils, beans, whole meals built around real protein sources. You see, these foods come with more than just protein. They also come with micronutrients. They also come with satiety signals. Your body feels satiated after eating them. They also come with texture, chewing, food volume. Those are all things your stomach also needs, right? And a real meal structure, these foods come with a real meal structure that a protein shake just cannot replicate. But protein shake also has its place, right? If you're on a road trip and you can't get a meal, just go stop by a gas station, grab protein shake, and you'll be good for an hour or two, right? So that's no problem. But all I'm saying is there's real foods, and you shouldn't just stop eating those to just replace them with protein shake, because you're going to miss out on all the things I just listed. So are you using protein shakes as meals placement 3 times a day while skipping actual food? You're treating a supplement like a lifestyle, and that's not a system. That is a hack, and hacks don't stick around for long. They don't compound. So here's a line I want you to remember. Your ancestors didn't need protein powder because they had protein meals. We inverted the system, right? We just start leveraging and start using more of protein snacks and getting away from real food. Do not get away from real food. Real food is very useful. So remember, protein powder is a tool, not a personality, right? Now, last part of the episode that I want to talk about is the common mistakes I'm seeing people make, right? So let's get to the core of what I actually see happening with people, because I've coached thousands of clients now through Training with the Titans, which is our fitness coaching company. And I've been doing this for over a decade now. And I'll tell you exactly what the pattern looks like. Someone decides they want to lose weight. So they go buy a $60 tub of protein powder. Maybe their doctor also puts them on a GLP-1 medication. So they start tracking their protein intake, and honestly, good start. I'm proud of them for doing that. But the other stuff doesn't change. They're still sleeping 5 hours a night, so their cortisol is high. They're still walking maybe 1,000 to 2,000 steps a day. They haven't touched a weight in months. They don't know how to strength train. They don't have a good progressively overloading plan. They're skipping breakfast or slamming a shake in the afternoon. They're stressed. They're not recovering. They're not hydrating properly. And they're treating the protein shake like it's the variable that's going to fix everything. But that's not a protein problem. That's a systems problem. Protein is just one thing. It's just one input, and very important input, but it still lives inside a bigger system, right? You can't just be like, yeah, I eat more protein. It's going to help everything. Yes, it will help you if you're going from completely out of shape and doing nothing to something, but it's not the whole system. And if you plan on losing the weight and keeping it off, you need the whole system, because if the system is broken, no single thing will fix it. Think of it like a car, right? So like if your car doesn't have an engine in it, you could put gas in it, but it's not going to run. It's not going to work, right? So protein is kind of like gas. It's kind of like fuel. You need good fuel. But if your engine is misfiring, your tires are flat, your alignment is off, and your oil hasn't been changed in years, putting premium fuel in the car doesn't fix the car. You need the whole system to work. And the system looks like this. I'll walk you through it, right? Rough idea. You need to sleep 7 to 9 hours a day. That's where your body actually repairs and builds muscles. You need to strength train 2 to 4 times per week. That gives your body a reason to retain muscle while you're losing fat. Daily movement, 8 to 10,000 steps a day. Low intensity activity that supports metabolism, circulation, and even long-term health and your mental health. Consistent protein intake throughout the day, not just dumped into one giant shake at 9 p.m. Like you need to give yourself like 30 grams of protein per meal, things like that. Just space it out so your body can properly digest it. And just having adequate calories overall, because eating too little for too long destroys your energy. It's not good for your adrenal glands. It's not good for your body or your metabolism. And it destroys your energy, your strength, your mood, your hormones, and adherence. So that is the system. Protein powder lives inside that system as a useful tool, not above it. So I know I just said a lot. So here's the healthy system angle I want to close with. I want you to take away from this. We talk a lot on this show about the 5 F's, and most people hear fitness and think, okay, that's just about working out and eating clean. But it's bigger than that, right? Like fitness is your body. Fitness is your reputation. Fitness is your physical capital, because you only get one body, and all the work you're going to do, the energy comes from this one body. So if your body's unhealthy, it's going to affect every other area of your life. And the thing with fitness is that it's one of the most compounding assets you own. I'm talking in business terms now. But if you look at things that compound, like education, like things that are valuable to you, that are assets, not liability, your body is the most compounding asset you own. And muscle specifically is a long-term investment. So if you build muscle in your 30s, it's going to pay dividends in your 40s, 50s, and 60s and beyond. Your metabolism is going to be better. Your bone density is going to be better. Your insulin sensitivity is going to be better. Your risk of diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and metabolic syndrome goes down. You move better. You feel better. You show up better in your family life, in your work, in your faith, in your every area of your life, in your ability to have fun, in your ability to move with your kids. And the thing is, most people think muscle and then they think of bodybuilders. Muscle is not a vanity metric. Muscle is infrastructure. And I promise you, you won't look like a jacked bodybuilder if you just start lifting some weights, right? You can have all the benefits in the world. Those guys are on steroids. They've been doing it. Like, it's just different, right? I like muscle for the functionality of it. And that's what's important. And right now, the market is giving you a signal that even people who don't care about fitness are starting to care about protein. So that should tell you something. Because if the average person is finally waking up to this, you have a massive opportunity to be ahead of this curve. Don't just chase protein grams. Build the system that makes the protein count. and give you a 10x return for your effort, right? So here's the pieces of all of this. Protein matters more than most people thought, and the market is finally catching up to that truth. A protein powder is not a fat loss plan. It's a tool inside of a whole system. The real plan includes training, strength training, sleep, movement, whole food meals, consistency over time. And if you're on a GLP-1 medication or even just in a caloric deficit, you're going to need all of those things, right? Because as you go into a caloric deficit, your body goes under a lot of pressure, right? It goes under a lot of stress because you're not giving it adequate protein. And that's where you got to protect your muscle, because losing weight without protecting muscle is not a win. I say this over and over again. People ask me, they're like, Mo, why do we need to exercise when we can just lose weight with diet? It's because losing weight without protecting muscle is not a win. You're going to feel weaker and you're going to look skinny fat. And most people, if you're overweight or obese, losing weight will definitely help you, whether you do it with GLP-1 or the good old fashioned way. But please do not neglect the muscle side of things, right? And then when it comes to the muscle side of things, people start talking about protein. When it comes to the protein, don't just start eating all these protein donuts and snacks to like make up for your protein intake. So here's the thing. If you want help building a fat loss plan, because this stuff can get complicated and it is very, very difficult. Like you're listening to this podcast, maybe you're driving back from work, maybe you're on a walk. It's very difficult to sit down and create a whole plan for yourself, especially if you've never done it before, if you've never had a fitness transformation before, and everybody giving you fitness advice is overweight themselves. So if you want help building a fat loss plan that actually protects your muscle, your metabolism, and your long-term health, DM me the word protein, right? I'll give you some real information and we'll figure out what the right next steps look for you specifically, right? So that's it for today's episode of Healthy System. If this one hits different for you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Rate and review the show if you haven't already. It generally helps the show. We don't have any sponsors. Training with the Titans sponsor this. So if you want a real fat loss plan and muscle building plan and have a coach and get, have a personal trainer working with you, you can just go to our website. It's twtt.us, right? Just twtt.us. Just go there. You can easily find the link to book a call with us, me or my head coach. We'll have a conversation one-on-one on Zoom, get to know you better, see what you're struggling with, see if we can help. And then if we can help, we can walk you through our packages and what it's like to work together. But keep crushing it. I'm proud of you. And I hope this episode helps you, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Healthy Systems podcast. I really appreciate you for tuning in today. Now, here are 2 ways I can help you for free. One, you can join our free Facebook community by just going to this link, bit.ly/Titan Facebook group. Just type that into your browser and then answer 2 questions, and then we'll let you into our Facebook community where you'll meet other people, as well as we have a lot of free resources in terms of meal plans, workouts, all kinds of stuff in there. Second way I can help you for free is if you follow me on Instagram at Mo Gaius, MOE, as in George, H as in horse, I as in India, A as in apple, S as in Sam. Follow me there and then shoot me a message with the word Healthy Systems, and then I'll be sure to send you a free gift. Other than that, keep listening in, and I really appreciate you.